Hi, this is Regina Y. Favors with a new series. The title of this series is When Someone Hates You, Overcoming Compromise Setback. Compromise is a very interesting term because we don't always think that the encounters that we have with people represent a compromise. A lot of times, your way may not be my way, and my way may not be your way. But in the most simple terms, positive terms, you can come to a compromise on what's the best way to handle a situation. On the negative front, compromise can be something where you do not get what you want, and you feel like the person who wants their own way, his or her own way, is sort of pushing you or bullying you or peer pressuring you to go their route. And so that can be a negative way of compromise. So I want to go through some slides here on this topic because when someone hates you and when they are asking you to compromise, a lot of times the hate refers to jealousy, and it's jealousy of something that you are. It could be gifts and talents, influence. There's a light on you. You could be a chosen person. It can be a number of things, but it's something a lot of times that they recognize about you that you haven't discovered. And when you haven't discovered your own gifts and talents, it makes you sort of vulnerable. They know something that you don't know, so now they can try to influence you and move you in a different direction. And a lot of times, it is not something that's a good way of how they handle you. They tend to move you into a state of debasing you. So that's what I want to go over in terms of this topic. When someone hates you, overcoming compromise setback. So, what is compromise? It's usually when we're looking at it in terms of this presentation, we're looking at it in terms of negative. So, that is usually accepting standards that are lower than is desirable. So, for example, if you compromise, if you say you don't want to have sex before marriage, and then the person you are with, the guy you are with, or girl you are with, keeps pushing you into that direction, setting you up, you go out on a date, they create situations where you feel like you're going to compromise your standards. And so every time you continue to go along with that person, you are walking in agreement. That means you are also accepting standards that are lower than is desirable. So if your standard is not to have sex before marriage, or not to um, go through blow through your finances, or to budget, or whatever the standard is, whoever is trying to get you to change your standard, which is your argument, whoever is trying to get you to do that, you need to question their influence in your life. You need to question their presence and existence in your life, because if if the person can get you to change your mind in one area, that person is just going to escalate to the next area and next area, and before long you will find yourself in setback. So what is compromise? It is accepting standards that are lower than what you desire. So when someone hates you, the person introduces you to compromise. Now, it is at this point where you can make a decision to say no. So, for instance, if we were looking at a drug substance abuse context, and someone asks you if you want to smoke weed with them, or smoke crack with them, or smoke cocaine, they haven't put the item in your hand. They're just asking you. Sometimes people treat it as a, aren't you curious? They'll use that kind of word, curious, to further lure you in. And so they are introducing you to compromise. You're not the type of person who goes around and smokes, or you're not the type of person who goes around and has sex with people indiscriminately. You're not that kind of person, and it doesn't mean that you hold judgment against anyone else. It's just not your pattern, it's not your standard. So when people always try to test you to see what you will give into, it's almost like the example that I use all the time, where people go to the pool hall and they want to play with the billiards. They play. they go to the billiards, the pool hall, and they want to play with the dart board. And so the dart board obviously has a bullseye. And so you take all the different darts, 3 to 5, and you keep hitting till you get to the center. And so then you'll hear everybody say bullseye. But when you don't get to the center and you get off to the sides, right, you're testing, you realize that dart that you threw did not work. It did not meet the bullseye. So you throw another dart and it didn't meet. Then you throw another one. That third one gets closer to the bullseye, but it's not the bullseye. And then you continue on until you do. Well, relationships work the same way, especially toxic relationships where people are trying to get you to compromise. They introduce you to compromise. You haven't quite compromised yet, but they are introduced. So they'll throw a dart to see if it's going to work. If you say, "Okay, I'm on a budget. I'm not going to spend any money," they'll put you in a position. They're not going to force you to do anything, but they will put you in a position to say, "Hey, let's go out to the movies," or "let's go out to eat," or something like that. But your budget is $40. They want to go to a place that's going to cost more than $40. So they're introducing you to a compromise. You're either going to say, "Oh, that's okay, I can budget next month," or you're going to stand firm on what your standard is. And your standard is, I only budgeted $40 for eating out. That's it. And that includes going to the movies. So that means that if the movies is going to be ten to $15, I only have $25 left for food. That's it. And so when someone hates you, they introduce you to compromise. The reason why I use finances, because people can be very jealous of your money. A lot of times they will create situations where they end up asking you for money. Sometimes it's a loan, sometimes it's a gift, sometimes it turns out to be a loan, but then they'll keep playing around with you and saying, "Oh, I don't have it, I don't this," or I give it to you for next paycheck, and then eventually you just say, "Oh, well, just keep it." Okay, they've introduced you to compromise. Your goal was to receive it back. You end up not getting it back. So that's something I want you to think about, because when someone hates you, they are introducing you to compromise before you actually compromise. They're not making you do anything, but they are introducing you to it. When someone hates you, the person compromises you. So, for instance, they may steal out of your purse. If we're looking at the same example of finances, they may steal something out of your purse and you don't know it. They may use your credit card. They may put something in your drink. Um, they may put something in your drink, and you two end up having sex, and you don't even know that you're having sex with each other. When they hate you, they compromise you in some form or fashion, and you have to think about that, what that actually means for you. But it is usually something that is not your will. You may have gotten yourself into the situation, meaning that, for instance, if they end up having sex with you, well, they wouldn't have had sex with you had you not gone to their apartment. If you or had you not invited them to your apartment or to your house. And so once they are on your territory, or once you are on their territory, people feel like they always have rights to you. They feel like they have a claim to you. Even if it turns out to be a rape situation, a sexual assault situation, taking advantage of you type situation, they feel like they can compromise you, because now you are on their territory. You are in their wheelhouse. You are where they can now do what they will with you. And a lot of times, if you think about this situation that happened a couple of years ago with the Shanquella Robinson, all of those friends went to Cabo San Lucas, I think, in Mexico. And so, and she paid for the majority of the trip for all the people who went. But and you would think, because that was the house that she rented, that they were on her territory. In fact, the foreign territory, made it possible for people to have their own individual claims to that territory. So whatever they did to you, they can do it to you on that territory, versus uh, in the U.S., where the laws may be more strict. And so somebody put something in her drink that made her numb to the point that when they were fighting her, or the person was fighting her, she couldn't she couldn't respond. She All she could do was take it. And so a lot of times it's interesting how they were all riding on the airplane. Shanquella didn't have any clue that these people were going to do what they were going to do to her on that territory. People will compromise you. And however way, a lot of times when people are getting ready to compromise you, they pull you into an argument. They provoke anger in you. They pull you into a situation. They put you on a different territory where you can't fend for yourself. Or it's like the person who kidnaps you for sex trafficking, and they take you to another location and you don't know where that location is. You're blindfolded, you're tied up, and then now you are at that location and you have no idea where you are. So that means you don't know how you can escape. And so that's compromising you. They hate you so much to the point that they are now about to compromise you. And in that context, is bringing in clientele to now do what they're going to do to you. When someone hates you, the person makes it possible for others to compromise you. So saying with that same example of sex trafficking, um, the person now has that person feels like he or she has authority over you. When a person snatches you off the street, so to speak, or steals money from your purse, or squats, becomes a squatter in your house. They feel like they have ownership in the thing that they have just stolen. They've stolen a body, your body. They have stolen your purse, your finances. They have stolen your house. And so now they take ownership, and it's almost like they're squatting on your life, not just the house, but they're squatting on your life. And so when they do that, they have the keys. They have the metaphorical keys to the house. They have agency in opening up the windows and letting other people come in and squat. They That's why it is never a good idea to let someone come live with you. It's better that you already have the money to help them. So when people come live with you, they always manage to bring other people with them somehow. I don't know how it happens. And one day you go on to work and then you come back and there's a niece on the couch, or there's a mother on the couch, or there's a boyfriend, usually a boyfriend or girlfriend on the couch. And you're trying to figure out, I thought you needed help. And so now they want to bring everybody along with them. No, that's not the way that happens. What it is, though, is that they hate the fact that you have this nice house. They hate the fact that you have this nice furnished apartment. And so now their goal is to disturb your peace. You're not going to be able to enjoy that house because they're going to make every bit of toxic situation even more toxic. So they are now going to make it possible for others to compromise you. Once you let one person in, it just makes it easier to let another person in. Therefore, it is better that you have the money to give them to help them, or you just sometimes don't let people know where you live until you get yourself financially situated, so that you're not entertaining toxic situations. When someone hates you, the person doesn't allow you to question the compromise. That's really gaslighting at its finest. They sort of, every time you question them about something, they make it out to be like that's not what that thing is, and you're just um, seeing things that are not truly there, and you're making too much more of the situation than it really is, and so you're really the problem. And so you can't question how they are compromising you. You ask about why. You ask, "Did you take $10 out of my purse?" And instead of actually answering the question, they say, "Why would I take $10 out of your purse?" They answer the question with a question, which has some merit, in a sense that why would you ever think that I would be that kind of person to take money out of your purse? But I watch people, watch what they say after that. If they do not say, "I did not take money out of your purse," after that question, you have to really pay attention to how they are treating the situation, because you're going to ask another question. Did you have somebody in the house while I was gone? And they turn around and answer that with a question. Why would I ever have anybody in the house while you're gone? Uh, I know that I'm not supposed to do that, but they don't directly say, I did not have anybody in the house while you were gone. They do not use a declarative sentence to make um, to support their argument, and so they don't allow you to question the compromise because it's their way of provoking a reaction. People who hate you, they like to see you squirm. They like to see you upset. It's like an ego boost to them. So they will provoke anger just to see you blow up. They will provoke confusion just to see you be turned around emotionally about it. They will steal things and move, not necessarily steal things, but they may move something that you normally will have in a certain place just so you can walk around and try to figure out where that thing is. They will hide your keys. They will do whatever they have to do in order to get the ego boost that they want and that they need, because they are toxic. They hate you. They won't let you question their compromise. They're gaslighting you, and they still want you to help them. So when someone hates you, the person doesn't allow you to question the compromise. When someone hates you, the person adds more compromises. So if you're compromised in one area, they're going to compromise you in another. They're going to keep it going until um, you're almost emotionally, mentally, psychologically burned out when dealing with them. Um, if someone knows that you have a mental health issue or you go to therapy, they're going to add more things to your life, more distractions and interruptions to your life, so that it burdens you down emotionally to the point that you just don't know how to make decisions. It could be if you already work hard, right, and you go to school, okay, you're already tired throughout the week. So then what they'll do, the person will do, is invite some man over to the house and claim, well, why don't we go out? You never go out. We can go out and we can double date, and I got my man, and I'm quite sure he got a friend, and we can come together. What? Okay, that's a distraction. Whether you want that in your life or not is actually besides the point. The point of the issue of your life goal in the moment is to work and go to school. You don't really have a lot of time for distractions. The reason why I put it like that is because you don't need anyone to bring a man along in order for you to have a man. You can get a man by yourself. So when someone is doing that, they're adding more compromises on top of compromises. And think about it like this: if you have a bunch of luggages, a bunch of luggage, uh, a carry-on bag, a roller bag, another type of bag, and your purse, and then you put all of those bags on your back. Now try to walk with them. Now try to walk with all those compromises, because they'll add a boyfriend, a guy, and then they'll add, hey, let's smoke some weed, and then they'll add, let's go to the party, and um, let's go to the club, and then they'll begin adding more illicit stuff. Somewhere in that circle, you'll end up having some sort of sex thing, sex party. It'll just be compromises on top of compromises on top of compromises. And so you have to know when people are doing you like that, there's a purpose to it. They don't like the fact that you have what you have, and so they are jealous of it. And in some cases, in some areas of life, you have someone who kills you. Or when you think about jealousy and envy, jealousy is, I don't like the fact that you have what you have. And then envy is, I don't like the fact that you have what you have, and I'm now going to separate you from it. So, for instance, if you had a friend who was a single friend and you are a married person, that person could have and you tell that person how great your husband is to you. So that your friend could be like, I don't like the fact that he's great to you. Okay, that's jealousy. Envy would be, I don't like the fact that he is great for you, and I think he should do those things for me. And so now I'm going to come between you two. And coming between you two is going to eventually separate. And then the friend is going to take your man or take your husband or whatever. And so when someone hates you, they add more compromises to weaken your defenses, to weaken your resolve, to burden you down with so many interruptions and distractions to the point that you forget what your life goal was. And the original life goal, two goals were to work and go to school. So when someone hates you, the person adds more compromises. When someone hates you, the person creates a system of compromising. So now that they've added so many compromising, now the system becomes a lifestyle. So you have gotten so farther and farther away from going to school, and you're not doing that much work. You're calling in all the time because maybe you have hangovers, maybe you the drugs you've been taking with that person and their boyfriend and the guy that you done met is affecting how you conduct yourself every day. And so now not only your friend lives in the house with you with her boyfriend, somehow he has moved in. We don't know how that happened. Or it could be your friend is a room, your uh, roommate is a male, and he's moved in his girlfriend somehow, and then she has moved in her kids, and then the person that the friend introduced you to, he's kind of moved in. Somehow he's moved in. He's left clothes. He spent the night. You guys do what you do, and then he goes to work from your house, and so somehow he has moved out of his apartment where he was likely a roommate with someone and moved in with you, and now there's a system of compromising. In any other context you may not care. That's maybe that's the way you want things to be. But if you set initial goals in life goals, and they need to be accomplished, and anytime you bring in any extra types of goals, it's going to create a system. So now what was maybe one night has turned into multiple compromises to the point that it's a system, and a system is no different than a lifestyle. You are now in a lifestyle of compromising. So I have a film that I want you to think about. It's Apartment 407. I watched it on Tubi. And the film title is Apartment 407. So the woman was visiting someone who was a photographer in this film. It is based upon a true story. She was visiting. He said that he needed someone to model. He met her at a coffee shop and he needed someone to model. Someone didn't come in, and so he looked at her and he thought she was model material. So she met him at his loft in a building that she didn't know anything about. And so they take some practice pictures, and then they make it out to be he and his assistant, who didn't know anything about what he did. He and his assistant, they make it out to be like, okay, you qualify, come back in the next day or the next week. She comes in, but the assistant is not there because she didn't know anything about what he does. And so he actually ends up being a sex trafficker. So he locks her in to that place, the loft, and so he brings in men who pay him, and then she gets free. And for at one time, and then somehow he brought her to his apartment 407, and the apartment is within the same building. And his daughter, who is sick, comes out and sees him choking her because he um, is punishing her for escaping. So then he puts her into a closet that's soundproof. Her boyfriend comes to the building to try to find her because he had dropped her off the second time, and so he couldn't find her. And so then he takes her back up to the area where he locks her into a back room, and men just come in and repeatedly rape her, and he's trafficking her. And so once there was a point where they were having a conversation because she wanted to know why her, why did you choose me, why did you do this to me type thing, and why not Chloe? Chloe was the assistant, and so he said to her, "I knew I could sell you," and I just thought that was so significant because he already laid claim over her body and over her mind and over her will. And he mocked her in that conversation, uh, and basically blaming her for going to a stranger's apartment without reservation. Well, he seemed like a person who was a model. I mean, he was a photographer and a person who had a studio, and so she thought that he was legit, but he was not legit. And so she stayed there 3 days and 2 nights against her will, and then she finally escaped. But I thought it was very interesting what he said. I knew I could sell you. And a lot of times that's what compromise actually is. Whether or not someone is selling you into trafficking, whether or not someone is selling you to compromise you in other types of ways. If someone is always asking you for money, knowing that you are on budget, they're compromising you. They know they can sell you. They know they can sell you on some fake reason, some fake excuse about why they need what they need. They don't need it from you. They don't want it from you. When someone hates you, they don't like you. They don't like anything you got, but they don't want you to have it. And so they are jealous of you. And so they will hate you and create situations where they separate you from the thing that you have. Again, if you had a house and you just bought a house and you furnished it off, they will find a way to get into the house and take up root and squat and accept mail to the point that you cannot enjoy your own house. And so they are jealous of you. Hatred is about jealousy. Envy is about jealousy plus separating you from it. And so this man who was in this film, he separated her from her peace. She was a Pilates instructor. She had a child with her boyfriend, and come to find out, she was pregnant in this 3 weeks pregnant while she was being trafficked. And so he didn't like the fact he hated women. It's interesting that he has a daughter, and never even occurred to him that someone could ever do his daughter the same way. But it doesn't matter. For a person like him, it doesn't matter. But all he knew in that moment was that he could sell her. He couldn't sell Chloe. Chloe looked too plain. Even though with sex traffickers, they'll throw anybody into those rooms and have men come in. But Chloe wasn't a person that he knew that he could sell over the internet. The lady here that you see in this pic is tall, model, skinny, slim, model looking. And so he says, I knew I could sell you. So people who compromise you often do so because they know they can. So it's something on you. I'm not saying that, I'm not blaming the victim or anything like that. What I'm suggesting that there is something on you that is giving someone permission to take advantage of you. Sometimes it can be you could be too giving. No one has the right to take advantage of your giving, but if you don't set boundaries with yourself, they're going to take advantage. If you open your house too often, okay, and you have to remember, you're not a shelter, you're not a rehabilitation center, you're not a Walmart, you're not Burger King. People cannot have their way in your house and in your life. So if you're vulnerable, something happened with you in your childhood, and it's like a spirit on you, or it's something on you, a stain on you, a taint of you. You were molested or raped, and so spirits, they talk to each other. So this toxic person who is passing you on the street, instead of that person just saying hi and bye, they now stop. And you're trying to figure out why are they stopping. uh, just keep going, because it's something on the inside of that person that recognizes something on the inside of you, that person now wants to take advantage of you. You see this in clubs all the time, but you would think to yourself, well, that's the club, of course, that's the environment. No, because if you find that that person is on it's if you find that the person is just willing to take your phone number and you meet up later, okay. But if you find that the person is trying to take your phone number and take you home and try to do things outside of the club, there's something on you and something on that person that makes it possible for you both to compromise each other in that way. So people, they compromise you because they know they can. It's something they know that they are able to. You can say no, but if you don't say no, then they know that they can. So that brings us to the last thoughts. Just because someone introduces you to compromise does not mean that you must agree to it and or participate in the compromise. You can say no. You have the right to say no. Because we are taught to be polite, and it's mostly girls transitioning into young adult women and then women, we're taught to be polite. So we don't want to hurt a man's feelings. We're also women who have been exposed to men who, if you reject them, they will retaliate. They will embarrass you. They may even physically threaten your person. And so it's always hard to say no to those situations. What I find sometimes that we struggle with also is that we say no and we still flirt a little bit, or we say no and we stay in the situation, or we say no and we don't immediately leave. And when you feel threatened in a situation, it's better to go on ahead and leave. Don't assume that you can change the situation. You may have to come up with some kind of reason and say, I need to get home. I have a child, or I need to get home because my husband, I just came in here to get some food for my husband. I don't know. You may need to figure out what it is that is the best strategy to get out of that situation. Because once they have you in that situation, there have been reporting lately within the last month of men attacking women in the club, men attacking a woman who says no to them. And it depends on the no. You have every right to stand up for yourself and say no. If you say no to a situation, you say no. That's it. But these men want to fight. They want to create situations where they feel ego driven to do you harm. So you're going to have to use some wisdom on how to deal with them. I don't know. You may need to get an uncle or a brother to teach you self-defense techniques. You may need to figure out a way to say what you need to say without saying it loudly, or that person thinking that you are trying to embarrass them. I don't know, because I don't visit clubs. I know that they're dangerous, but you have to figure out a way to do it. In general, though, just in general, you don't have to agree with compromise. Just because someone presents sex to you and you don't want to have sex, and you're not in a situation where they could try to rape you, get up and leave. That's it. If you don't agree with someone doing drugs in front of you, get up and leave. You don't engage and entertain, because even if you are not sniffing and smoking the stuff yourself, the toxic fumes that come from that cigarette or whatever it is, that smoke, is still going to affect you some kind of way. If you don't feel like you have to don't feel like you are embarrassing someone, that standard is not your standard. So if you feel like that is not something that you want to continue doing, get up and leave. Do not feel like you have to uh, be nice and try to tell somebody, um, try to explain to them and in a 4-line paragraph, I'm not this, I don't do this. Just get up and go. Get out of the situation. Get out of it, because there's so much temptation in those types of situations that you might find yourself doing something. It doesn't take much. But if you get out of it and you go outside and you go across to a cafe and you sit down, or you get on the bus or you get on the train and get away from the immediate context of the situation, you'll find that there's a better release. You'll find more you'll find yourself exhaling and feeling like more peace at that time. So just because someone introduces you to compromise does not mean that you must agree to it and or participate in the compromise. You can say no. You have the right to say no. All right, so visit, follow, and subscribe. So please subscribe to the channel. You can also visit my website, reginawhitefavors.com, for tips. This particular presentation is going to be under the Overcoming Hate Setback tab. So it's going to add to the current list of serials that are also available on my YouTube channel, Regina White Favors, as well as this website. Thank you very much for listening.